Good morning, everybody. I hope everyone is good this morning. The topic that I selected to speak about from our community is career advice that's ruining generations. And I think that topic is important to speak about just because more of the world's population is young. And a lot of us have studied for traditional careers that reality doesn't seem to match expectations. Don't seem to be what they told us it was going to be. And if you're like me, who wants to be relevant in life, who wants to be useful to people around you, your head is also discombobulated because you're like, how do we position, how do we start providing value, and then how do we anchor for the long term as opposed to, you know, just sitting on our asses. I reached out to one of my friends who has, well, she has a mentor role in my life as well. And I was asking, like, how does one see the landscape of work today? We had the proper conversation about it. She gave me her time, shared a couple of thoughts, and then she recommended two things for me thus far. A book. I'm not going to. Well, if you want the book, I'll recommend it as well. Just ask. It's not long. It's like a 2 hour read or something. And then she recommended an article. That article on Substack is what I'm going to start this conversation with. I'll just read out something that was shared there that I believe everybody ought to be aware of, and I believe everybody ought to understand because that's reality. And then we'll then talk about what I believe is a way forward, as in giving what we understand today, giving the realities we're experiencing today, what what can one say is a way forward? Um, and it's also something that I'm also applying myself. So I thought it important to share. So I'll just start by first reading out the just an excerpt from the Substack article. It's called Musings of a. Let me get the title. Okay, no. So you want to be a strategist, 2026 edition by Zoe Scaman. I hope I'm not murdering that name. But then let me just jump in. All right. So a lot of us grew up being told a story about how this work: study hard, get the grades, get into a good university, get the internship, get the job, work your way up, build a career, buy a flat, have a life, right? That story was already fraying when I came through. This is her speaking. Now it's in tatters. You did what you were supposed to do. You got the degree. Maybe you even took on debt to get the degree. You read the books, you followed the right people, you learned the language. You were told that if you were smart and worked hard and wanted it enough, there would be a place for you. And now you're sending applications into the void. You're watching roles get cut before they're even filled. You're seeing people 5 years ahead of you getting made redundant and wondering what chance you have if they didn't make it. You're doing free work, endless coffee chats, posting on LinkedIn like you're supposed to, and none of it seems to connect to anything real. That's not a personal failing, that's a structural collapse. And there's a kind of grief that comes with it, the grief of a future that was promised but isn't coming. I don't think you can skip that. I think if you try to just power through, to hustle past it, it sits in you and turns into something worse. Bitterness, maybe, or shame. The creeping sense that you must have done something wrong. When the truth is the creeping sense that you must have done something wrong when the truth is the game changed while you were learning the rules. So feel it, be angry about it if need be. It's not fair. It wasn't supposed to be like this. But you can't build a new strategy while you're still trying to execute the old one. At some point, you have to look clearly at the terrain as it actually is, not as it was supposed to be, and start from there, which means letting go of the path you were told to want. The big agency, the title progression, the career ladder, and asking a different question entirely. Where is strategic thinking actually valued and how do I get there? That's how trying to reference. So the title of the article is So You Want to Be a Strategist. I'm a brand strategist, and that really caught my attention. But then it's also applicable to everybody, everybody that is breaking into the labor market and breaking into the labor market at a time where it's very precarious to say the least. Most things that we've learned and we've prepared for, most things that we have told ourselves that we're building towards, we're seeing a lot of those career paths, those job functions, those traditional interpretations of work fade away, right? And as it fades away, many people are left in, well, a state of disarray, confusion, anger, angst, anxiety. And it's fair, I would say, to feel those things. Everybody that wants to be useful will feel those things when they're not, when they don't feel like they're being useful, when they're not delivering value. And now the question becomes, so what happens then? What happens next? Yes, AI is here to stay. Yes, big companies have more leverage, they have more capital, they have more data, they have more analytics, they have a lot of this stuff that a typical lone ranger tends not to have at inception. So we fall into this trap of feeling like all hope is lost. Frankly, I start from the point of positivity, as in our parents' time, in our forefathers' time, whatever the case may be, there was also technology. The way I understand how history has unfolded thus far, um, there is there's always going to be an emergence of new ways of doing things. And that gives me respite because as people back then also were discombobulated, they were thrown into disarray when perhaps the industrial age came and you just had to learn something new to get ahead. They also survived. For us to be alive today as human beings, it shows that our forefathers survived. For your lineage to be here and you are alive today means your forefathers survived the evolution of technology, evolution of application of these technologies, what it means to work and all of these type of things. And first of all, I would say to start from the point of understanding that you're not the only one in this haze, in this, and don't write yourself off with the first thing. Start from somewhere that's positive, okay? In terms of thought, in terms of thinking about this whole thing, in terms of thinking about work. Yes, the terrain has changed. It's evident to most people. If it's not evident to you, you really need to check. You need to check what's going on. But there's a lot of traditional roles now that have been eradicated. And then the path forward then is questioning, so what does that all mean? The things that I have trained for are now just automatable. The things I understand about how the labor market works, they seem obsolete. My knowledge seems obsolete. So the way I look at it, if people survive the change in their time, evolutionarily, up until the point where I was born and getting into my 20s and um, observing that, the technology even that we have in our time, when we go back to say a generation or two back, you find that you're the one teaching them these things. If you ask your parents, or if you ask people ahead of you, if you have a mentor, you see that many of them existed in a time where it was just about landlines and fax machines. It's laughable technology now, but it shifted the terrain for most people. And then people who went to learn the technology, people who started deploying the tools, now had more leverage as compared to people that did not. And those people got ahead. So that's basically just the game. Is when a new technology comes, like, and then like new systems are here for work, the the thing that's best, I would say, is to start from a point of positivity, um and then regard yourself as somebody who can win nonetheless. And winning means just being updated, right? Not all technology is good for the application that you most likely need to do for your work, for your business. But first of all, just being informed that there's things out there, right? And then taking that time to go investigate those things, to go learn from those things, learn about those things, and then tinker with them, play around with them. And that's how you begin. That's how you start learning. Okay, this one works for the purpose I have in mind. This one doesn't work for the purpose I have in mind. And then it starts from there. So when you start considering the fact that even this technology that's existing today isn't the last of it, it's not the last of it. As we continue to grow, we'll keep seeing new evolutions in technology, in different ways, and different ways to apply those new technologies. So what I'm seeing in the landscape today is that everybody just has to be on their toes. Like the idea of 9 to 5 uh sufficed for a world that did not have a lot of hmm, a lot of democratized technology in that sense. But like right now, the fact that everybody has access to the exact same technologies, and each one of these technologies are beasts in their own right, and people who will use them will have leverage, is telling me that as it stands, everybody just needs to embrace this change. And because the technology is democratized, work stops being a 9 to 5. I believe work now is 247. Yeah, I believe work now just has to be 247, as in whatever it is that you're applying yourself to, whatever you're choosing to call work, which there's countless of them. I'll read out a couple that I believe are interesting, that I've found recently. As they used to call that, even podcasting as we do it today, is work for some people. Is work for some people. And at the end of the day, people that will do better at, say, a job like podcasting will be people that see it as like their full-time thing, or as a leverage point to their full-time thing. But then it still commands or integrates this idea of a 247 role, as in working in a sense that you're not going to, there's no clocking out of work. There's wind down from work, but there's no clocking out of work. Especially when you then tie that to the fact that we are going to be working in a way where most people will have their work not be in their local vicinity, as in your digital real estate is where your work is going to be represented. So your online persona, uh your your representation of your work on the web, on online, that's going to be your work. And then if you're pruning that digital real estate, if you're taking care of your digital real estate, if you're focused on growing it with as much intensity as people who are being competitive are doing, then you can't clock off. You can't clock off of work. You can wind down, but who you are as regards your role in work tends to be persistent. As in, you don't, like, prior to now, 9 to 5, you go and you do a 9 to 5, and then you can clock out of your 9 to 5 and start being a different person. Do you see? Like you can work in an organization, and then once the time clocks out, you go be another person. And I don't know how else to describe it other than the era that we are in now, especially for people that want to be market leaders, people that want to actually get to the top of their game. It has to be something that you enjoy doing so much so that even when it comes to the point of uh you want to wind down, there's other things that you can still be doing on your digital real estate. There's other things you can still be doing in your work. Light things, and these will be things that you enjoy. Right? These will be the part of the work that perhaps, let's say you run um a business. There's different aspects and parts of it to where, yes, some parts of it is hard, like you need your full cognizance, you need to be there, you need to be present, you need to be doing the thing, like the heavy lifting. But then the sequence of events would also show you that there's other things that is still work, it's still you applying effort into building and pruning your digital real estate and your business. But then these are things that's like they can turn into hobbies. They are less strenuous. They are uh they are sweet. And hopefully the entirety of the work is sweet. But then these ones are still, you can do it in your free time. I'll give concrete examples. So for someone running a YouTube channel that they have a podcast, the heavy lifting would be sourcing out guests, scheduling, logistics to get the guests in. I would say I don't like that part of having a podcast. I mean, it's cool, it's calm. Like, obviously, at some point, a team can take over that fully and just they understand the system of what you want to do. But anyway, the whole point is that's the heavy lifting of the podcasting. And then when the editor edits everything, and then you're shooting it out to the internet, the less strenuous part, I would say, would be going to look at the things that have been posted, and now you're editing the captions, you're editing the titles, you're editing the tags, the SEO stuff, the metadata. For me, I find all of that stuff calm. It's calming for me. So as it will be interpreted for any other role, it's the exact same thing. I'm very curious about how different businesses, different work are going to evolve over time. I'm actually very, very curious because it's going to be interesting to see how law, for example, will work in this time where there's so many kinds of technologies that is just like I see it as maybe, yes, there'll still be law, definitely, but like the law or the rules that the lawyers are arguing for will change. Like there's going to be, I read a case that there was an argument of whether somebody informed somebody of something or not. And then something was dependent upon whether you should have informed prior to a certain time or not. And then the way the lawyers were, the way the winning lawyer team were able to win that case, they used cryptography to go and check the multi-millisecond of the application of the thing. And then it turned out that indeed tracking the multi-millis to the most milliseconds of things, they actually found that this person submitted the application on time. It was very interesting. So I know that the existence of cryptography, crypto network, is going to lead to high transparency. Like you cannot say you did something and like the records are going to show that you did not do it or you did not do it on time. Something like that. Like everybody is going to start seeing a hyper uh like a season of hyper accountability to some degree. That's why I see it as. So law in that sense is going to be more so tracking the metadata, all of that stuff. I see that, I see perhaps that's where the thing is etching towards. And then for other roles as well, there's many roles that are going to get just redundant, to be fair. There are many rules. Like even now, video editing is something that many people have, uh, many people have, like that they've put themselves in, and there's many AI tools that are, well, the need for creativity will still be there. The need for somebody to go and apply that tool is still there. But then people who want to just shoot out bulk content cheaply is very available right now. And I know that it's only going to get better because everything that is technology, everything that's innovation gets better in iteration. So a lot of data is being collected today that will inform the next iteration of all these technologies. So in thinking of how to go about positioning for the future now, the way I see it is embracing the fact that these things are here to stay. Second, they are not just here to stay, they are here to facilitate. Third, they are never going to be as good as humans, as in human creativity is still the crux of it. Like I said in the for narrative engineering 1 and 2, I believe. One, I spoke about why your brand needs personality. And if you get to understand, if you watch that, you see what I was talking about there. But if you get to understand that, you see that the technology isn't something to fear. The technology is something to leverage. You leverage it to get better, you leverage it to get ahead. And then it's going to facilitate people who embrace this ideology. So artificial intelligence, for example, for AI generation, image, video, audio, text, all of these things, it's just an aggregation of other people's personalities, right? People have been creating ever since, they've been throwing it on the web, online. They've been throwing it online. What AI is doing is going out to search for all publicly available sources of information, and then it's collating all of that stuff and aggregating it in a way where it's now seeding that aggregation to your prompt. So you say, hey, go generate 500 word text. It's not, its generation is actually not fabricating a new thing. What AI generation is aggregating a lot of things and then solving for a meaning that pleases your prompt. So that's what it's doing. For video, for audio, for text and whatnot. That's all it's doing. So that in and of itself cements hope because what is not in the world, what is not accessible to AI right now is your originality, is your authentic interpretation, your authentic point of view, your innate, like your internal source, right? Your internal source. That's what AI doesn't have access to yet. You see? So humans that are doing this work to go and seek within themselves for originality, original thoughts, original opinion, original interpretation, original perspective. Those people are going to be able to create new things, um, original things, relatable things. And as you continue to evolve as a human being, you learn yourself even more. And then in interacting with the AI, imagine like it's not imagine, this is what it is right now. But the AI has access to every other person's information, right? That it wants to aggregate. And you're interacting with that machine. And that machine is giving you outputs after having aggregated other people's thoughts. You're also training yourself. Because before there were there were ways, I suppose, but it was not this accessible to go ahead and refine your thoughts so quickly, right? Like your like I believe that AI is actually coding us in a sense, or AI is actually helping us go deeper in our own selves. in a sense where before you can have one thought, you can have three thoughts, you can have a number of thoughts, and it's just locked in your head. There's no way to go out into the world and test it and troubleshoot it and like run through different iterations quickly. But with AI and with all these other technologies coming up, I'm seeing that it's actually helping me think better. It's actually helping me think more long term. Like my context, instead of like perhaps you're planning for one, two, three sequences of iteration, right? But with something that has every other thing that has ever existed, you can by yourself take bigger leaps. So instead of doing one, two, three direct iterations, you're taking like you're going from iteration one to iteration four, as in your mindset, in your thoughts, in your thinking, like you're processing thoughts quicker. You're you're seeing possibilities quicker. Like before, if somebody was meant to edit like a graphic stuff, right? The the ideas that come to them in that moment, they are limited by their own understanding. So even as they're applying the best of themselves to create the video, to create the audio, to create whatever the case may be, what they don't know, they cannot do more than what they know. So they're only going to do what they know. And then versus now, where you have AI, where you have access to do the things that normally you didn't know before, but it's in line, it's like assuming you have had iterated like 10 times, right? You would have gotten there, you would have still hit that mark. But then now you're hitting that mark quicker because you're moving from iteration one now and you're going to iteration 10 straight. So that would be versions of a creation, versions of um any output. If it's your writing, you can go from iteration 1 to iteration 10 quick using AI. If it's your video editing, you can go from draft 1 to a draft 10 that is 100 times better than draft 1 quicker, because now you have access to this democratized technology. So for people who even want to train themselves, before we would have access to maybe one language we want to go and train ourselves for. Even the content that we produce, we can have one language to go and like interpret it to. And even going to interpret it, you will need a proper interpreter that maybe knows another language, and then they'll have to first ingest your content, synthesize it for themselves, and then output something. You know, that's human based. That was limited. Right now, videos are being translated to over 20 languages, just automatically, automated, and it's giving you reach to people who understand those languages. And this thing is very crazy. So before, if you record a video in like English and then you post it, um, you have access to audience that is just English speaking, an English speaking audience. But right now, with tools available, you can have access to like people who speak up to 100 different languages. Like the same content that you're putting out is being translated to those languages, and then you're having access to those markets as well. And for me, that just blows my mind. That just blows my mind with the possibilities of that. So considering careers to build now, there's tons and tons and tons of ways of looking at what career means. It's before, I would say the trajectory was, yes, you go, you learn the thing. Let's even go back. Before you go, you serve somebody, quote unquote. In that, it's like you're an apprentice, you're an apprentice, you're doing apprenticeship, and that person is your mentor. And then you're going and you're getting direct information from working directly with them. You're learning from them from working directly with them. And then it got to a point now where we then institutionalized. Now you go get internships, and then after that internship, you hope to get retained, and then your career goes from there. You get from level to level to level to level in that career. To right now, where one person can stay and just train themselves and start putting out output, and then if you're willing to be committed to doing something, the same set of things for a long time, that can become your career. I know one of the things that'll keep many people from seeing this thing is most things don't pay off immediately, right? It will take longer than you anticipated. Normally, it will take longer than you want it to take. But then now careers, like for me, I would say if I'm to define career now in the best way that one should be thinking about it is the basics, as in food, shelter, and such. You're solving for how to make sure that that's taken care of in the most optimum way that will allow you to go and build out that ideal career that you have in your mind. One might say that's what it has always been, or that's what that's what the structure has always been. But then I see that right now it's easier because we have access to more information. We have access, like you can work on your YouTube channel, produce one long form video, chop it up into 10, 50 videos with prompts. That's mind blowing. Before, you like me, I would pay somebody um to edit the long form video and then edit shorts, and shorts had a different fee. They'll send you a different invoice for shorts. But now you don't necessarily need anyone touching your video to create shorts for you. You can, with prompts, you're going to be able to create shorts. That's just one application of it. And then now think of the distribution power that gives to channel owners, creators, where you can literally be posting content every single day. You can be posting 10 videos every single day. You can be posting 100 videos every single day. It now depends on your effort. How many can you record? Basically, your effort, your willingness to go and do the work is now your only limitation. If you go and record, the editing can be done quicker. Basically anything that we know as work right now can be done quicker, more efficiently. There's still going to be maybe small bumps to cross in that some of these platforms are subscription-based platforms where you have to pay to access them. So that's another way of looking at it, that perhaps that's a constraint. But if you look at it, like I'll give an example. Opus Clip is a video editing tool where you pay about 100,000 naira for an entire year. Okay? And then this is just one of many. And then that app gives you access to a software where you can go and you make you record this YouTube video, like what I'm doing right now. And then when it's up on your YouTube channel, you can go and take that link and drop it into Opus Clip, and with the prompt that you decide, you can now go and write that prompt, throw it into Opus Clip, and then you have like however many short videos as you want. And then you then go perhaps human interface. You then go and select which shorts you deem fit to put out. You see, the workflow has condensed time. It has saved you money. It has saved you, and this is something you can now. Depends on how many long form videos can you then go and record, because the machine to make shorts for you is already there. This is just one little application. There's automation where signals trigger an action. Perhaps you upload a short, and let's say you don't want to do that work of going to put the YouTube link in the what's it called, in the Opus Clip, right? You can actually go and take. There's another software called N8N. Check it out, N8N. You can go and automate the entire cycle to where you can have it set up to where anytime you upload a long form video, so that triggers the automation to where once it picks up that long form video has been uploaded, it automatically goes and sends it to the Opus Clip, whatever platform you choose. There's many of them, and then it automatically creates shorts. And then you can extend your automation to where not only will it create shorts, but it will go and now schedule those shorts on the platforms of your choice. So the only thing you're doing is sitting down to record a video. And once you upload that video, the automation triggers. It creates the shorts, it schedules the shorts, And then you skip to that end of the workflow, like I said, the part that me I enjoy, which is just going to look at my digital real estate and ask myself, oh, is this good? Can we do this better? Looking at the metadata, you see. And when you're able to skip to that part, for me, that's the sweet part of the whole thing. I mean, recording is also sweet. I enjoy, like for the podcast, I enjoy sitting down to relate with people. Ooh, I enjoy it. I can do it till I'm 100 years old. I enjoy it. Um, so if I enjoy that part, and everything from that part to the other part can be automated, it is beautiful leverage. Excuse me, because I can enjoy the part that is creating the content, that is speaking with people, and then every other thing goes and happens, and then I can enjoy the part of taking care of the digital real estate, as in the metadata. Can we change this title? Can we whatever? And by the way, there's still things that can do that. So YouTube on its own, the platform YouTube has A/B testing features. So you can test three or more titles, you can test three or more, like three thumbnails, and all of these things remove the bottleneck of overthinking for you, the creator. So it frees up your time. Oh, if you have three thumbnails and you put it on a video, and the machine is doing the work of testing for which one is best, which one will lead to more clicks for you. How about the rest of it is just for you to relax and let the machine do its thing. You can also test for titles. Now, by the way, I'm just focusing on YouTube as a case study. There's other applications. There's mighty applications that even me I don't know yet. Do you see? But then there's many people who are using that right now. And like I said, people who stay using the landline when others were still writing letters. You see how they in their career they just automatically got leverage. The people who got their business on the internet, the World Wide Web, quicker when others were still on the paper routes, they had more leverage, right? And their business would go better, quicker. And then the people that now have embraced AI and using automations and um, leveraging the tools of dates, they also will have leverage over the people that are just banking on the traditional methods, you see. And that's how it will keep going and going and going. So first of all, if you're positive and you just embrace that this is how human nature works, this is how human evolution works, it's exciting. It's exciting. Like, assuming a client comes to me, Kick and Co, today, and they need modern marketing techniques. I'm not going to just tell them, hey, we don't tell our clients just use your website and wait for hope for the best. There's things to do to induce attention. There's things to do to automate attention. There's things to do to leverage little effort and balloon the yield, the outcome. And we can set up those systems for businesses. We can set up those systems for clients. And this is what we do. And we're also leveraging the one we ought to leverage, at least the ones that we have the resources to leverage right now. We're leveraging as best we can. And so thinking about career, basically right now, is thinking about how creative can you be and how original can you be. These two things, right? Because creative now is going to the point of ideation. What ideas can you have? Because again, automation is about ideas. You cannot automate where you don't have a system. Like you must first have a system, a blueprint, a structure, right? Where you understand that, oh, machines do this part, humans do this part, then that's very clear to you. And then you can now go and, hey, so what are the parts that humans are doing right now that the machines can do? Like, again, making shorts, YouTube video shorts. The machines can do it. Why are you paying somebody to do it still? You get the machines can do it cheaper, quicker, automated, effortless. So that in and of itself becomes a career, even like your business can be to go and help creators automate the creation of like their entire workflow, whatever their system is. Like your business can be pitching creators, pitching businesses to go and help them automate their business. These people are already making money off of that. So if you're still thinking that it's the old way of, I need to go and learn. I need to pay somebody 400,000 naira for this, blah, blah, blah. I need to pay somebody 1 million for that. I need da, da, da. to go and learn school, to go and get certificates, so that when I get certificates, somebody will employ me. That's backward thinking. Like, you have it backward. Right now, it's a question of what are my interests, right? And what do I enjoy doing, and what can I do for a very long time? And how do I productize that, right? How do I fuse my personal ethos into my brand such that it's people who are vibing with that my ethos that want to work with me, and they are working with me because my creativity is at play. Like, it's just like, again, I referenced this in narrative engineering one, that people who can write code will be there, but there's people who will write better code. So in our time today, people who can go to N8N, go to just plug in a few apps here and there to make automations happen. Yes, they are there, but there's people who, because of how artistic they are, their automation is going to be more efficient. As in, some people may need to plug in 4 different apps in order to make an outcome happen. Right? When you're solving for these things, you're solving for an outcome, right? You're solving for a system. So you have that system in mind, you have that blueprint in mind. Great. Now, some people will have better systems than others, and they'll have a way to automate that their system better than the next person. That's what the leverage stacking will now be. It's not as if everybody has access to AI and then it's a lost game. No, everybody has access to AI, yes, but it's in the application and utility of that AI that matters. Like, if my team can create a better dashboard than your team, the client will hire my team over your team. If my team can think of new ways to apply the technology that is in existence today for businesses, those businesses want to work with my team, not your team. You have access to automation. I have access to automation. But the way I'm deploying that automation now will yield better, will be more aligned, will be more forward facing than the next person. So it's a game of creativity, it's a game of information as well, because you have to know there's tools being created like daily, like quickly. There's many tools that are being created, right? So it's now a question of how creative can you be in, how can you get the information, and then how creative can you be in applying the uh the information that you're getting. That's what career means today. So the career advice that's ruining generations is the one that's telling you that you still need permission to do something. That's the career advice that's ruining generations. That you still, like, basically, if you know something, if you've identified something that you love, if you identify something that you love, you have genuine curiosity for that thing, you have a genuine interest in that thing, and you have audacity. Don't worry, the tools are now enabling. The tools are now enabling for you to go out there and make bread. The tools are now enabling for you to go out there and just be yourself, provide value. By the way, all these things will still scale over time. I believe that everything in the world is one thing. I'm getting into a deeper aspect of things now, but all things are integratable. So and I see that's how leverage is stacked up, and that's how leverage merges. As in, if you and your little team can think up a new creative avenue of doing a certain thing, perhaps these bigger companies with more reach, with more leverage, perhaps they've leveraged more than you, they've already integrated with so many others, they've already merged, they have more capital, whatever the case may be. They will come and buy up your system. It's systems that companies are systems. They'll come and buy up your system, and you integrate with theirs, and you're now a supernova in that field. That's what career is. And then we're moving to a point where the work that most people will get to do won't be menial task, as in won't be just go and file these documents, go and, all these things are trivial. All these things can be done with just one small prompt. You just get it done. The real work now, the work that's going to have meaning, the work that's going to have value now is work that is not automatable. Like human to human interaction is never going to go away. Like the ability for you to sit down in a room, interact with people, read the room is not going to go away. So that's the way to think about it. Is what unique skills, what's unique about me that I can bring to the table, then I can now house it inside a value proposition. That becomes your career. So I'd say investigate yourself, don't investigate society. Don't ask society what you should be doing. Don't ask society what is allowed. Don't ask society, um, because, and I say don't ask because anything that society knows now is almost the most structures that are in society now are archaic structures. They are old structures. And don't build to conform to society of today. I would say anchor long term. If you can do the thing that you want to do for a very long time, you most likely win the game. Because most people will drop off. People will drop off for different reasons: frustration, lack of information, insight. Like there's information, then there's somebody that can break it and mold it into insight. Um, Many people drop off for they'll write themselves off. They wouldn't even want to apply effort. So anybody that if you found something that you love and this is something that you can do for a very long time, you're more than likely to do well. I believe so. You're more than likely to do well. That's the way I look at it. So when one is thinking about career and one is thinking about how do I fashion utility, how do I make myself useful and provide value, it's a question of asking yourself, what do you love to do? Right? It could be as simple as I love talking to people. And then from that, I love talking to people. That is what I do for a living, narrative engineering. You can use that simple, I love to talk to people, and we can craft out an entire beautiful career for you, leveraging technology such that you will tend to just be doing more of what you love. Yeah, you tend to be doing more of just what you love. And then the people that will be coming, like basically everybody will become an influencer for their work. You see what I'm saying? Like I haven't thought so far as to say what that entails if everybody has their own like small teams, and how does that integrate in society. I don't care about all of that. What I shall know is what I'm trying to operate with now, the information I have today, the things that I'm already working on myself, I share, you see. And it's in I'm sharing it to, like, the question someone had asked me is, and the question I also asked my mentor is, whilst I know that things are changing, and whilst I know that I want to be of value, I want to do something, and I want to be here for a long time, I want to survive happily and be free. Whilst I know all of these things, I still feel a tad bit of weariness, right? And what I've learned after I'm still reading the book is that she recommended to me, and I'm still and this article, anybody that wants to read it, matter of fact, let me put it in here. But I'll just put the link in the chat for anyone who wants to go read it up for themselves. I think it'll facilitate people. That's the article I'm referencing. And I've just digressed. I've just found this. I've digressed a bit, but just give me 1 second. Topic is um career career advice ruining generations. That's what we're talking about today. If you're just joining us, career advice ruining generations. That's it. All right. And then thinking about what it is that one wants to do. I know I was on the train of thought there and I lost it. Well, moving forward. 1 second. Right. So thinking about how to see career moving forward, the way I would frame it is look for something that you are, it comes natural to you, right? And then start thinking of a way, don't write yourself off. When it comes natural to you, in fact, it's that one that when you say it, you laugh at yourself. Say, well, you self, how that one thing be your career? Is that one? You have solved for it. That is your answer. That one. That when you think about it, it's like, hi, Omo. I know it's not in existence. In fact, self, if you're thinking about it as something that comes natural to you and it's not in existence, you're going to be a billionaire. Like, let that sink in. It's not in existence and only you can do it. Jesus Christ. It's a pleasure to know you. Because you're going to make so much money. Yeah, I believe that. So it's like if you investigate yourself to learn what comes natural to you, then the work then is right. So how do I frame a context around this to offer it to people as a utility? Who do I need to work with? Who do I need to connect with? And yeah, so that becomes your thing. That becomes your thing. And then it's not a question of how do you build traditional business models around it, or you consider traditional business phenomena like pricing and an audience and um, what is my attention funnel? How am I getting the attention? How am I converting it to business? That becomes your career. The first thing you would do, the second thing you would do, the first client that will pay you money, second client that will pay you money, um, it will blow your mind. It will blow your mind. And then this thing will translate to things like the idea that I enjoy doing this thing. When it's translated to real life career, it turns out to be things that just machines cannot do. Machines cannot do. Robots will not be able to do that one. In fact, even if robots will be able to do it, humans for the foreseeable future will prefer that they are getting that service from a fellow human. Those types of ones, those are the ones that we should be anchoring on. Those are the ones that we should be positioning ourselves to starting careers in. Because if we're starting careers in anything other than this thing, like something that is actually going to be, there's many roles that are not going to exist in the next 5 years, 3 years, 10 years, 3 years. There's many roles that people have gone to school. I watched an interview, Elon Musk, saying that the Optimus robots that they're building, when they start shipping them, that it's going to replace surgeons in the next 3 to 5 years. Surgeons, that's crazy. We're here for the future. We're here to see if that will happen, right? But these predictions are coming up for different roles, different things, different, you know. And then I think it's good to see that as as something to really think about. What if robots start replacing surgeons? I suppose the best hospitals will start using the best robots. That's how it will start. The best hospitals start using it. And then over time, those robots will now be cheaper to adopt into hospitals, rendering surgeons redundant. And then that's going to be the trajectory as well for most of these technologies in their adoption. Is people are going to, the people with money, let's say, like again, the subscription model, you're going to be able to pay. But at some point, the cost of adoption is going to reduce. Or at some point, technology always etches that way. So the cost of the new technology starts up here. Perhaps it's the bourgeoisie that will get access to it, people with a little bit more funds and leverage, capital leverage. But as it's hooked up here, just be aware of it. Even if you don't have the resources to tap into that tech yet, just be aware of it. Know that it's possible, because that way you're watching the trend of where it's going. And then you're also anchoring your own activities, your own positioning. You're anchoring it on, if this thing is already in existence, imagine what the iteration of it would be. So how do I position for that iteration of this kind of technology, right? So perhaps surgeons would then be um, robot operators, right? Because at the end of the day, most humans would prefer that another human is operating on them, right? So if the robots are doing the operation, the hospitals will definitely still need to hire surgeons. I would imagine that would supervise the robots. So perhaps now it's going to be people who can supervise the robots that are going to be called surgeons, or there's going to be a new name for them, or something like that. But the world is just going to shift like that, to where is now going to be who can automate better, who can supervise the automation, and that's it. And prior to that is who can think up creative ideas better, quicker, who can think of a way to solve for an outcome that don't require much resources, right? If it's automation and you want to achieve, posting 10 times a day, for example, it's going to be who can accomplish this outcome of I want to post 10 times a day with fewer applications. So perhaps now what we're solving for is how do we like remove the many applications, because now we don't want to be paying the subscription fees for these many applications. So how can we think up this outcome in a way that when the automation happens, perhaps it's just one or two platforms that we have to subscribe to, right? Or yeah, which platform is actually the best? Which platform, or if it's one platform, what platform can accomplish this? Who knows that platform? Who can deploy the technology, right? Who can supervise the technology? And then it's going to come to a point, just like the cost of subscription is going down and down and down, and the cost of accessing this technology is going down and down and down. Is who can think clearly that will have the most leverage, I swear. Who has, yeah, and then it's also as these technologies become more democratized, as in people now have access to it, everybody has access to it, right? Colleague is now going to be who do I vibe with? Think about it. Just think about it. If everybody has access to ChatGPT, everybody has access to Metricool, everybody has access to OpenScript, everybody has access to Anything, everybody has access to everything. Everybody has access to, like, there's one I saw this morning. I'm going to still look through it. I haven't looked through it. It's called Similar Web in Manus. There's a application there that I found interesting. I was reading about it just before I got on this taping. But then if everybody has access to these types of tools that are so intriguing, so interesting, that can deliver this high output, this efficient output, this high value output, then it's now going to be a question of, if I need this aspect of work and I need this aspect of work, and anybody can do it. Last, I know what you're doing with ChatGPT. It's not hidden. I know what you're doing with ChatGPT now. It's not to do this and this, you create the thing. It's now going to be, who do I even enjoy working with self? That's going to be the basis of work. Like, if everybody has become good at a thing, it goes down to emotion, human to human. Like, you cannot just separate out of that. Human to human vibe now comes into it. That's the way I look at things etching. Is Yeah. So as technology is existing now, yes, many people don't know about many things, but soon come, many people will know about most things. And then soon come, many people will have access to most things, most technology, most innovation tools, most automation tools, most even robots. Most people start having access to robots. So what can your robot do? Where do you buy your own from? Or is it Tesla robot, or is it Hikanko robot? Like, and then it's now going to get to the point of, okay, I have all these automation tools, but I want to work with somebody that will oversee it. I want to start paying somebody that will oversee my automation. And then it's not going to be a question of vibe. Obviously, the person understands the technology, they understand how to optimize, they understand how to iterate. It's not going to be a question of, I like this person too, so I'm going to work with this person. I know what they're doing, but I'm going to work with this person. I posted something on LinkedIn, and I was like, curb that fear that's telling you that because everybody has access to technology, you're doomed. No. Rich people buy Mercedes Maybachs, okay? But they don't drive Mercedes Maybachs. They sit in the back seat. The chauffeur goes and drives the Mercedes Maybach. The rich person can drive the Mercedes Maybach, but they'd rather be driven in the Mercedes Maybach. Now it's going to come to a point where Mercedes Maybach is automated too. So it's self-driving. But then there's still going to be somebody that will have that car and will still buy, I don't know, they may not call the role a chauffeur, they'll create a new role. But it's going to be then somebody that can sit down in those, I don't know what where that one is going to edge to. The automobile industry is very interesting. If cars are automated, automatically no need for chauffeurs. Maybe there will be fleet controllers. That's one rule I can think of off the top of my head. Fleet controllers, to where, if this company has a fleet of automated vehicles, they can use 1, 2, 3 people to sit on the dashboard and just keep, moving the cars around and checking, is this one good? Does this one need maintenance and da da da? But those 3 operators are then going to be maintaining that fleet. Or it could get to a point where AI is even maintaining that fleet. And then there's going to be another role for humans. So just being optimistic, first of all, I think is a way to begin. Let me see this. Yeah. So being optimistic and then being looking at the whole playing field like a child, like I know that these things are going to disrupt. I know that these things are going to elevate and give some people leverage, but I want to be those people, right? The people that got leverage during the internet time, where people were still pre-internet, those folks, their names were not written in the stars, man. They're folks that saw the utility of the technology and devoted themselves to tinkering with those technologies and framing context around deployment of those technologies. Like websites, everybody can create a website, by the way. Let's even not even go too far, talk about AI. Normally, everybody can create a website. Right now, even if you're curious, go check for an app called Base44 or go check for an app called Replit. With prompts, you can create softwares, like genuinely softwares, not talk of websites. So if you can think it clear enough. Now, you may still need some technical expertise. Like, you may still need somebody with technical expertise to go and look through, is this workflow better? But then at some point, as it's getting democratized, it's going to get to a point where now you need only be able to think clearly about use cases, because applications are just use cases. If you click this button, this is ought to happen. If you click this button, this is meant to happen. If you click the other button, this is meant to happen. So it's just use cases. And if you can think up unique use cases, you're able to create unique applications. Because now all you need to do is think it, perhaps make your documentation, and then put all those documentation into a prompt and feed it to an app like Replit or an app like Base44, and your app is going to be generated. Then you go and check, is this use case as I initially documented? Does this button work as I initially wanted? No, okay. Still, again, prompts. You go back, make this da 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 da, and then you solve for all the use cases and you package it, and that's just an app on its own. You see. So anybody can do that. As I'm talking to you, anybody can do that. It's not a question of the people that will go and dedicate time to tinkering with this thing, because all these things are new technologies. Nobody right now can claim to be an expert. Who is an expert in AI? AI that came out last week. I beg. I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to pay anybody for any course to teach me AI. For what? AI is thinking. AI is clarity of thought and willingness to deploy. That's it. Even self, if you want to prompt a machine, you can ask the machine, you can tell the machine your intention and tell the machine to generate the prompts that you give it. You understand? It's deployment of understanding. So, oh, you want to do X, Y, and Z. Or no, start from your outcome, your output. What do you desire for the thing to turn out to be? Describe that thing you intend for the thing to turn out to be to ChatGPT, right? And then you're telling ChatGPT, this is what I want. Create a prompt that will make you give me the best output possible, and watch magic. Or you can take an app like Base44. You want to create a software. You want the software to do X, Y, and Z. And then you take your intention to ChatGPT, say, hey, I want to give Base44 a prompt to create X, Y, and Z app for me, right? These are the use cases I want in the app. These are the features I want in the app. These are the quirks. These are the UI, UX functionalities, whatever the case may be. Give me a prompt that will trigger Base44 to deliver its best output. and then you press enter. The prompt that the GPT is going to spit out to you, you now just lift that and go and paste in page 44. And then whatever that generates, you keep optimizing until you get what you desire. Yeah, that's the way to look at it. That's the way to look at it and say. So we've gone out of that realm of gatekeeping, where universities are gatekeeping the information. Uh, one organ that told you to come and serve him is gatekeeping the information. One boss. Yes, there's still technical things that you ought to learn at the feet of someone. I reckon so, certainly. But the greatest work, or the greater work, the more rewarding work, the work that optimizes for efficiency and speed, is actually investigating yourself to learn what you like, what you'd rather be doing come the foreseeable future. As in, you may imagine that this role will still be important for humans. Like, imagine it even like start the imagination or start the reasoning from the point of assuming they turn off the internet today, but there was still the monetary system working. How would I earn money? You see that it boils down to human interaction. What do people need at the end of the day? Like, that's a very sweet question to ask in terms of thinking about the career path. Me, I know that people need somebody to talk to. I don't like the idea of talking to a machine. I want to feel somebody, like that warmth of somebody. I want to feel them. I want to feel them. Like, even that's why people have Zoom, but they still rather meet in person. Humans like each other. They will still bring out at some point, I believe, holograms and all these type of things. But I think humans will still, like, it will be perhaps communities that can, despite the availability of holograms and such, communities that will be engineered to foster human connection. You see that those communities now can even be subscription based. Maybe I'm thinking too far. Maybe I'm not. Who knows how these timelines shape out? But you will now start. I reckon a reality where there's going to be communities, colonies, if you will. Yeah, communities is what I like to say. That are still leveraging technology. They are not like just cut off from technology and they swear off it. No, they still leverage the technology, but like their workflow, that community's workflow is engineered in such a way that human to human connection is still like is there, is valid, is still ongoing. I think, yeah, because the way technology is going is taking away many, like I'm talking to how many of you, right? And I don't know your faces, but I'm talking and you guys are receiving the information and we are communing, right? But at some point, you start seeing the trajectory from old technologies. If you date old technologies from this date to this date, and you see how the evolution was, you'll be sort of be able to predict what the next phase is. Like, the more you can see the future, the more you can see patterns of the past. The more you can see the past, the more you can see patterns of the past, the more you'll be able to have some glimpse of what the future may tend to look like. So it's like all of us can listen to, again, I'll use Davido. All of us can listen to Davido's song, Rema's song. But like there's still a spark that comes to head when we meet him in person. You see? When we interact with him in person, when we go to his concert, there's still a spark that comes. There's still a spark that comes. Like, we can stay in our house and vibe to music, right? But there's still a spark that comes when we are in the midst of people dancing to the same music. Do you see? Or perhaps when the artist is performing the music live. You see? So yeah, so when we think about career, think about like things that come rain, come shine. Humans would rather other humans do it. And then when you understand that that is your innate gift, then find a way to start translating that gift into your digital real estate. That's the way I see it. So understand yourself offline, what value you can give to humans in person, right? And then how do you then frame a context around that is valuable, right? And that's sustainable for you to then do into the future, and you're committed to evolving in that craft. Like before, musicians, like using musicians again, if one person can sing normally, now they had the ability to burn their music into a disc. Okay, it's still just them singing. They can just sing, right? That's their human to human X. That's their thing, right? But now they can burn their thing into a CD. Ooh, the innovation came now where they can tape the thing into not a CD, but now you have, let's say, an iPod that has millions of quote unquote CDs on there. But remember, the person just can sing. If they come in person, all they are doing is singing. But now they've gone from singing to discs to putting it in digital form where millions can exist in one hard copy device, one structure, right? And then whatever that evolves into is still just that the person can sing. If they offer the internet, if they offer the technology, it goes back to okay, that person can actually sing. So if you're thinking about your career moving forward, don't worry about the future that much, I would say. Yeah, don't stress yourself about the future that much. Worry about if you know yourself enough. If you've studied yourself, you spend time with yourself. If you know that thing that you enjoy doing, once you pick up that thing that you enjoy doing, is it talking? Is it singing? Is it that you even enjoy tinkering with these machines? Whatever the case may be, then the work now there is what narrative context can you engineer around that thing to get with the times? As in now, if you can sing, nobody's advising you to go and put your song on a CD again. If you can sing normally, you have to leap to where the times are. So basically now you're thinking of where to put your songs on streaming platforms, you see? So whatever it is that's your innate natural gift, something you love, something you're curious about, that you want to see yourself evolve in, you're going to first identify that thing and then try and anchor on where is that thing in time now, in the timeline of human technology, human evolution. How are people disseminating that thing? What kind of digital real estate can I utilize, right? Because once you start utilizing that technology, then, or once you identify the technology that you're meant to start utilizing, then you fixed yourself in the timeline. You've started, you've started not where others started, as in CD to streaming to whatever, using music, for example. But you've started at this point now. This is your own CD time. But also don't forget that just the way the people who evolved and the way to anchor to the technology of their time was CD. And that generation was streaming to where the CD people had to evolve to streaming. You now that is starting from streaming, buckle your belt because that's not where the technology ends. Streaming will move into something else. And you also, because you have access to your innate original talent of say singing, you'll be able to evolve into that next thing. And then after that thing, when there's another thing, you'll be able to evolve into that thing. That's how you think about career now. That's how you think about career now. Is that innate thing normally is there, no issue. But like when you now anchor your digital real estate, you're now building it on platform X or platform Y. Just buckle your belts because new platform will come out, new deployments will come out, new integration will come out, you know, uh, new ways to do the same thing, the same natural thing will come out, and you just have to evolve. Me, if I say, oh, I like to talk, maybe before I would have had to go and be talking to, I don't know. But now I have YouTube. So I'm starting from here. And then we're just observing. Where is the next place where we can deploy? We have social media, let me call it that, not just YouTube, but we have social media. We're talking now. Narrative context around the podcast. Narrative context around it, whatever. Narrative context around it, whatever. For different people, right? And then over time, I'm very curious to see where it's going to go. Whether it's going to go into neural devices that you just plant in people's head and they'll be listening to you 247. I don't know where technology is going. But the point of thinking about a career in this way is assuming it gets to that most futuristic way of deploying this talent, this innate human uh, ingenuity, assuming the evolution of things, the evolution of distribution, the evolution of automation gets to this. There's so certain things I cannot even imagine. Call that the singularity, whatever the case may be. But anything after, I will sure just be doing my talking, and then whatever integration of that platform entails, I'll now integrate my just talking to that platform, and now automatically I'm anchored into the future. My innate skill of talking will get better over time naturally because the more you do a thing, the better you get at it. So if I've identified that the talking, the thinking, the sharing, the communing with people is my thing, uh, then I can have peace of mind no matter what new technology comes out. I can have peace of mind because first I've identified the thing I want to do. The next step of the job is then discovering what platform to anchor on, to partner with, right? Because these platforms have millions, their distribution chain is already established. So I go and I partner with them as in create content on their platform, right? Cool. And just be doing that. Just place yourself there and just be doing that. Iteration. Because over time things get better. Your understanding of the business gets better. The way you understand how to even do the thing you originally love to do will get better. New ways to make money doing the thing that you love to do naturally will get better. Before, you have to just organize concerts, physical concerts, sell tickets. Now you're earning money off of, maybe for musicians, Apple Music will pay you, streaming rights will pay you. They use your song for music, for movies. Somebody that just naturally their first thing was I like to sing. They are not thinking all those plenty things yet. Just let me get better at singing. That's my primary concern. Let me get better at singing. Because if I get better at singing, movies want to adopt my songs. That's how I'll earn under money. Video games want to adopt my song. I'll earn under money. The streaming platforms, they want to keep my song on there. So there's partnership programs. They'll pay me money. Because I'm singing, because now my distribution, I'm partnering with all these platforms and I'm out there, right? Other opportunities will come. That's the top of your attention funnel, and you're funneling down to monetization. So other opportunities will come because you're just good at singing. The distribution now over time um, takes shape as it will. No need to worry about that far. But just understand how it etches towards the future. You understand that new technologies will keep coming out, new ways of distribution, new ways of monetizing the same things that you're naturally good at, then you have peace of mind. So I suppose, yeah, that's the way to look at it. Is just investigate yourself for what you love, understand what it is, be willing to allow yourself evolve in the thing. When you start day one, you're not going to start at the peak of what you're capable of. And you as the creator, most likely, more often than not, the creator tends to hard with the creator tend to know their value before the world know their value. You see? So even that your first iteration that you put out, it will not feel like your best work. But put it out regardless. Calm down. Put it out regardless and calm down. And then, what we do at Kick and Co is, and that's why we call it magnet system, is the original innate thing that people are naturally best at. We are excavating that, and then now we're building structures around it so that indeed you get to earn money and you get to take care of basic, like we have to live nonetheless. So, you pay for rent, you pay for food, you pay for logistics, movement, and all of that, leisure, and all of that. But then make sure that you understand that all of that is to service you building your digital real estate. That's how you get leverage going into the future. That's what we call a career. And then also, I would say to people, just the way I advise myself, stop over consuming. Stop over consuming. Your people over consume other people's opinions, other people's use cases, other people's interpretation of how a thing should be done. Like, for example, you want to do a live stream and all you're consuming is I show speed, but then you see that you don't have the resources to travel, you don't have the resources to have like a proper setup and blah, 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 blah. He did not have those resources when he started. You see what I'm saying? That's why I like to look at a creator's genesis. It gives me hope. If I'm doing, I don't know, 10% of what their current state is right now, I go and look at what were they doing at inception. You find that your 10% today, it beats their 100% at starting. That's just the beauty of time. So when you consume somebody's earlier days, you consume somebody's earlier works, you consume somebody's initial starting, it will give you a lot of like encouragement. So I guess that's the kind of thing you should be consuming if you're a creator. Not comparing yourself with their present, with their today. You know, don't compare yourself with anybody. Don't overconsume to the point where you consume out your originality. You see? So that's the way I look at career moving forward. And I believe that's how everybody should be thinking about career. I want to read out something else. Give me 1 second to pull it up. Good morning, Greece. I hope you're having a lovely morning, and I hope you have a a lovely day. I want to read out some industries that I find interesting, that I just find interesting. I don't see a lot of these types of, like, I don't see a lot of references to them online. So I believe that there's little competition there. And I guess people can go research to see perhaps they can frame that their innate original talent inside that thing and go and do. Let me. All right. So it's still from the same article. I've shared the article already. If anybody is curious, they can go read it for themselves. The advice in this in what is going on here is go where the crowd is not going. You understand? Find your own self, find your unique application of your innate talent, build a structure around it. And I will always say vibe on structure. No, don't vibe on vibe on structure. So, excuse me, creating that structure is what I and my team in Kick and Co call magnet system. Your magnet system, what will attract people to you? That's the thinking behind naming it magnet system. What will attract people to you? So we're solving for that. So businesses consult with us to do just that. And then when we create the structure, the operationalizing of it now is what we call our agency system, where we actually are the ones operating your magnet system for you on your behalf. In different industries, I want to read out some industries right now that I don't see a lot of people talking a lot about, but I think they are interesting industries that people will make a lot of money off of. One is logistics and supply chain. Two, agriculture and food production. The same content you want to create. Imagine if you had, this is just me spitballing, but imagine if you had a niche, say agriculture, and then all you're doing is going and you're helping them automate their processes for distribution. I think that's good. Waste management is another. In real estate, it's already happening 3D. I'm already seeing it AI generation of models and all these type of things. But there's an angle of it VR that hasn't really gotten. I wouldn't know anyway, but I wouldn't say it has gotten so big that it's now saturated. Leveraging VR in real estate viewing, real estate experience, something. I don't know. I haven't given that a lot of thought. Um, then evidently education, training, because there's a lot of people that there's going to be a lot of grifters, by the way. There's going to be grifters that claim that they're all this and that and the other. It always happens when there's a new technology, and then there are a lot of people that are scared, they're anxious. So there's going to be a lot of grifters that will come up and say they are AI expert, they are this and that, the other. But unfortunately, that's going to be there. But truth is, education is still going to be a very lucrative, uh, I would imagine, I would say, a very lucrative field to operate in. And then it boils down to that thing of likeness. Like if you're teaching something that a group of parents, a group, a community with a belief system, if they subscribe to that, you still earn money because they want to work with you, because they like you, because they trust you. So you needn't even fear automation, you needn't fear technology. You need just incorporate that technology into that natural skill and curiosity and desire that you have. That's the way I see it. Oh, there's a bunch of them. I would just advise everybody to go read this article. It will open your mind to a number of things. So let me not go rereading it over here. So yeah, just a recap of what we've spoken about thus far. Start asking people why they succeeded, not how they succeeded. Why they succeeded, not how they succeeded. Because how they succeeded is their own way, you see, of accomplishing the thing. And if you limit yourself to trying to follow somebody's blueprint one for one, as in there's no originality in what you're shooting for, what you're gunning for, you're not going to be able to sustain, right? That person knows why they are doing the thing that they are doing, why they are attempting the thing that they are attempting. Perhaps it comes natural to them. Perhaps they have something that is chasing them. Whatever reason, the reason is theirs. And if you have not contacted your own why, if it's not clear to you why you want to go and do something, like the way I'm advising and saying that it needs to be something natural and curious to you, you won't be able to sustain. So me, I like to ask people why. Why do you think this will work? Why have you done this? Why do you think you succeeded in this field? Because not everybody that will go into something and succeed. So why do you think you succeeded? The question is phrased differently. So the answer is going to be more, they're going to give you more of a clear picture. Most people they will speak to their own original reasons, right? They're not going to give you 7 ways to, 9 ways to, just very concrete and outdated ways, because as they applied it themselves already is obsolete. There's new ways to do it. In fact, their systems, their opportunities, everything that aligned for them, for the thing to work for them, is their own story. It's not going to align for you the exact same way it aligned for them. Even if you do everything that they did, you follow their step 1 to step 2 to step 3 to step 4 to step 9, you're not going to get the exact same results at par, because there are many factors that come into play. Like, yeah, there are many factors that come into play. So start asking people why they succeeded, why they're doing the thing that they're doing, and then watch the conversation. And then you also yourself start asking yourself why you want to do a certain thing. If your reason is burning enough, you sustain longer. And like I said, if you're curious about the thing, if you like the thing, naturally, normally, and you're willing to evolve with the thing over time, you become a market leader. That's just how they become market leaders. There's no other way they become market leaders. Like, I don't see any other way. It's just continue doing something and getting better at it. And then different factors come at different points in time to propel you. Could be new technology, could be natural disaster, something. There's so many factors. There's so many factors. Hopefully, it's not natural disaster that propels you. But there's many factors that if you're just on a thing, if you're just doing a thing. I mean, I'm using my YouTube channel to test that out. So what if? Let's see what happens. Let me try and commit. Let me try and see what happens if I do a thing and attempt getting better at it over and 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 over again. Removing all constraints to that outcome. Making sure that I'm solving for if this thing will stop me from getting better, if this thing will stop me from growing in this particular craft, if this thing will distract me, let me try and not do it. Let me try. We're all human. We'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. So that I believe that's the mindset for longevity, and that's the mindset for market leadership. And something else to now add with that is, as much as you're planning for the long term, as much as you're strategizing and working towards the long term, also work urgently. I think this is key. Work urgently. Like, delays of the enemy. Do that idea that comes to mind now. If at all, do it for reference. Do it for reference, in that career at the end of the day is repetition, right? Repetition. And then somewhere that wants to get better, they are doing iteration, not just repetition. That is collecting feedback and re-implementing, right? So, yeah, repetition and urgency. No, urgency rather is the thing. Longevity thinking and then urgency in the short term. So as the idea comes to you, do it such that when you're doing it again, now you'll add, is this how I did it last time? What were the results? What outcome came of it? And that feedback now is informing how you do it the second time. Never be ashamed of your first time. No, never be ashamed of your first time. Of your first structure, of your first system, of your first business, or your first idea that you do, of your first anything. It makes sense to skip that line to where you work with a professional that has done it over time. Yes, call it a mentor, a consultant like myself. Sure, but anybody can still do it by themselves if they investigate themselves. Genuinely, you can do it and then you build your structure. It doesn't give you the outcome that you thought. You iterate, you try another one, you add another one, you remove certain things. I find even that most times it's in the removing that you find the beauty, it's not in the adding. Funny enough. The less, the better. Like, the less things you do, the better. Just do a few things and iterate on those few things. I think that's the formula. I'll see. I think that's the formula. And then the thing about urgency is things are moving quick. Information is accessible to everybody now. So that thing that I have in mind, just do it first. Tomorrow you do better. But if you don't do it, you lose that precious first attempt that will give you contrast, that will give you feedback. You lose that precious data pool that you would have just used to understand what it is you're trying to do more, better. You lose it, unfortunately. So the quicker you, like, once you get the idea, the quicker you can go and implement that idea, the better. And give yourself grace. That's how you build a career in today's world. Just do more things. And when you find the thing that you know, okay, this is it, then start iterating on it. That's it. And leverage the technology that exists, whatever that technology of that time will be. Today, everybody is crazy about AI. Tomorrow is going to be something else. That's how I see it. There's going to be a deployment of a consortium of all these technologies, perhaps AI and internet, perhaps AI and cloud computing, perhaps AI and something. But that will just be the new thing, and we shall just adapt like that. That's the way I look at it. So when I got asked that question of the career, um, or what careers should somebody be looking at starting now? This will be my answer. Is in a condensed form. What do you enjoy doing, and how can you frame value around it such that you can iterate over time, embracing the technology and leveraging the technology of the day? That's it. If you want to flesh that out some more, is you identified the thing, identify that the, like when you identify the thing, you see that that thing that you have, most people don't have it. Automatically, that's your value gap. You can now go and use that thing to give value to people. That's how you get money. And then as you do it over time, it becomes a career, period. And then the more that you can remove constraints, as in things that will keep you from iterating on that thing, the longer you'll be able to do the thing. I did a live, a crossover, where my battery ran out on my system. But at least I've done that live. You see? Such that next time I know, okay, one fail safe is battery may run out. So if I'm optimizing that, I don't want my battery to run out, I want to do a better live. I can then perhaps go make provision for a power source. You see? So that at least now I've removed that constraint, I've removed that limitation. The next time, perhaps I'll learn another thing. Internet may fail. So it will teach me that, okay, I need to get backup. The next time, just like that. It's just the commitment to keep going. Like you fail, you go, you fail, you go, you fail, you go, you fail, you go. I think I genuinely believe that's the way to do it. So I'm trying to do it, and yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens, basically, over time. So that'll be my answer for that. I appreciate you guys for joining. And if you haven't seen the episode that just dropped, our first episode this year of KTN podcast, Kick the Narrative podcast, go see it. I think that's a very interesting episode. And another will come out this January as well, God willing. So, and by the way, leave thoughts on this video, on this idea. Share your thoughts also, and let's keep interacting. So, I appreciate you guys for joining this, and I'll just allow small time for if anybody has any question. Otherwise, I'll just be here. Let me give maybe 2 minutes. If I see anyone who has any question, you can ask. I'll answer. Otherwise, I'll just call it the morning. Okie dokie. So, I guess we can call it the morning. Thank you guys for joining this. Appreciate you guys. Please ask more questions. I'll find them wherever you drop them in the comments and such, and I'll come here to share my 2 cents again. So I appreciate you guys for joining this. I guess an ending note would be everybody should not be afraid, man. We're in the times of our lives. We're at our peak, young people, we're at our peak. Oh. So let's embrace the time and live consciously about the whole thing. I see this evolution of work as a very interesting phenomenon to witness. And as information is floating, going around, everybody is sharing their 2 cents. Try and filter out and make sure what you're consuming is actually worth consuming, because you can go and cloud your mind to the point where you incapacitate yourself. You see, you can go and cloud your mind with people's suggestions, people's recommendations, so much so that you lose sight of your own voice, of your own taste. And taste is that uniqueness that work is going to be based around now. You're not prompting something for just casual purposes. You're prompting something to create an actual utility. You're deploying tools, you're automating machines for actual utility. That's the way to think about career moving forward. The career advice that is draining generations is that you need permission to be yourself. You need permission, as in credentials, to be yourself. You've never existed before now. So I don't think you need any credential to be yourself. I think it's in living, it's in doing things that come to you that you get to build a career. A career that's going to be valuable to you and to others. Yeah. That's the way to look at it in my best thinking thus far today. So thank you guys. I'll call it a morning. Let me go get busy. Thank you guys for joining this. Next week I'm going to talk about what it means to sustain business in Nigeria. Yeah, sustaining business in Nigeria. Next week, someone asked as well. Sustaining business in Nigeria is a unique one. Is in our country for different reasons. But I believe that there's a way to do it. There's a way to do it. People are doing it, and I'll share my 2 cents on that topic as well next week, 8 a.m. as well on Wednesday. So till then, good morning, everybody.